Rache Bartmoss, also known as the Ghost Lord, is a name synonymous with netrunning in the Cyberpunk 2020 narrative, being a pivotal figure in Mike Pondsmith's Cyberpunk game alongside Johnny Silverhand and Morgan Blackhand. Rache Bartmoss is almost guaranteed to have some sort of reference or role in Cyberpunk 2077. Egocentric, paranoid, reclusive, and brilliant, Rache Bartmoss is often regarded as a genuine legend and a super wizard class hacker amongst netrunners. Bartmoss believes the net is the real world. He does not accept borders, discrimination, travel restrictions, secrets, rules, or anything inhibiting free and total communication. Rache Bartmoss is a fugitive who has broken into the toughest systems on Earth and committed multiple acts of corporate espionage with relative ease. His programming skills rivals even Alt Cunningham's, who is recognized to be the best in the Cyberpunk 2020 narrative. Rache Bartmoss has taken on Netwatch and never lost, explored the farthest regions of cyberspace, and claims to be aware of the existence of aliens. Unlike other netrunners who use a pseudonym such as Spider Murphy, Rache Bartmoss uses his real name to give his corporate enemies in Netwatch the proverbial middle finger. They know exactly who Rache Bartmoss is, but can never stop him. In the early stages of his career, Bartmoss worked legitimately with some software companies under the proviso he would not hack their systems, which usually lasted less than a couple of weeks. Once, Bartmoss worked for CCI Development. With his assistance, the company started developing many innovative software products. Unfortunately, Bartmoss dropped a few surprises into the database code, including several scandalous sex tapes. While the company fired him, Bartmoss simply used a kill switch on all their systems as a departing gift. Given that Bartmoss has tried so many net interfaces, many are surprised he never experienced cyberpsychosis, although Spider Murphy described Bartmoss as having a special affinity for the net, an instinctive understanding, and the wires in his head seemed natural for him. Bartmoss's last escapade was only 2 semantic degrees short of fatal. Nailed by a particularly nasty type of black ice that placed his heart into continual fibrillation, he barely managed to activate his cryogenic celestial parachute backup system in time. The result froze his body, but left his hyperactive mind still aware and jacked into the net. Bartmoss was too paranoid to tell anyone to retrieve his body should he be killed, so in the Cyberpunk 2020 timeline, Rache Bartmoss is a frost-covered chunk of frozen meat deteriorating in a cryogenic freezer, disguised to look like a refrigerator, while still managing to be the best hacker in the world. Since his apparent death, Bartmoss, with help from his hacker friend Spider Murphy, wrote his posthumous memoirs, Rache Bartmoss's Guide to the Net and Brainwave Blowout. In the Cyber Generation timeline, which is separate to Cyberpunk 2020 and the events of the Fourth Corporate War, and possibly one CDPR will not draw reference from in Cyberpunk 2077, Alt Cunningham offered to clone Bartmoss a new body, but he refused, saying that the net is now his nervous system. Instead, Alt arranged to have an advanced, low-temperature superconductor cyber modem installed on Rache's cryogenic capsule. This allows him to run the net as fast as any artificial intelligence. In the Cyberpunk supplement Firestorm during the Fourth Corporate War, Militech asks Rache Bartmoss for his help against Arasaka. Rache Bartmoss is adamant against working for a corporation, no matter how tenuous the connection. But Alt Cunningham convinces Bartmoss to join her in hunting for the Soul Killer 2.5 program. Alas, this is where Bartmoss finally meets his end. During this scenario dark errand, Arasaka agents finally track down where Bartmoss resides. The final boss of this campaign is the legendary Death Wish. That is, Death Wish, the Cyber Kitty. Solid black, outfitted with titanium rippers in its mouth and paws, Death Wish the Cyber Kitty protects the refrigerator that the frozen body of Bartmoss rests in. Bartmoss upgraded the Cyber Kitty's programming to produce a deadly mixture of feline instinct and Jackie Chan martial arts techniques. And in case you are wondering, Chumba, Death Wish had a cool stat of 10. Following a truly titanic battle, the likes of which most gamers have never seen, and certainly too violent to be shown on YouTube, Deathwish is finally defeated. As the frozen body of Rache Bartmoss is riddled with bullets, the building's self-destruct mechanism is triggered, giving the players just 30 seconds to escape. To ensure Bartmoss does not pull a Schwarzenegger,
I'll be back.
Arasaka used an orbital artillery satellite to launch a projectile from space directly on the building, to finish the job once and for all. If you happen to join Militech and Morgan Blackhand in attempting to rescue Rache Bartmoss, an Arasaka operative in an armored exoskeleton accidentally crashes through the rooftop, puncturing a waterbed on the way down. The exoskeleton lands directly on top of the refrigerator containing Rache Bartmoss. Bartmoss survives the impact, only for escaping water from the bed to cause the cryogenic celestial parachute backup system to short circuit and electrocute his body.
To end like this!
Suffice to say, Rache Bartmoss had a contingency plan in place for his death that only becomes evident in Cyberpunk v3. Now, I need to stress that Cyberpunk 2077 will not include material from Cyberpunk v3. I've only opted to discuss it in this particular video to provide a conclusion to the story of Rache Bartmoss. Many months prior to his death, Bartmoss had set up a backdoor data crash virus hiding within a hentai anime porn file that he sent to Mani Ihara, the person who had set up the Ihara Grub algorithm which determines how the net functions. This allowed the virus to infiltrate all the IG protocols that ran the net. The death of Rache Bartmoss triggered a dead man switch that activated billions of data crash viral links, randomly rewriting and erasing all information. Without any records or organization, the information age simply collapsed. In addition, upon the death of Bartmoss, killer Rabbids, roving autonomous Bartmoss interface drones designed to emulate Rache Bartmoss, began killing all his enemies on the net. Suffice to say, when it was released, Cyberpunk v3 received a mixed reception.